The Arkansas Grazing Lands Coalition, in partnership with the Natural Resources Conservation Service of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, is pleased to present this water structure instructional video. The video will show the steps necessary to install a prefabricated concrete tank according to the specifications of the NRCS Environmental Quality Incentives Program, commonly called EQIP, for the purpose of providing permanent water structures for managed grazing. You'll be able to see for yourself what's required to install this type of tank, plus you'll receive important tips to ensure its dependable operation. The tanks on this property will be fed from an on-site well. The supply line to the tank sites has already been laid. The steps necessary to install a prefabricated tank will be the same regardless of your water source. If you're using the same water source for your home and your livestock tank, you'll need water for home use and a minimum of 5 gallons per minute delivered to the tank. You must take this into consideration when looking at your particular water source capacity. The livestock watering system must have an engineering pipeline design from NRCS prior to installation. NRCS requires a specific minimum pipe depth, and you should refer to NRCS specifications for details. Remember to always call 811 to have current utility locations marked before you begin digging. This prevents the need for costly repairs and ensures personal safety. Also remember that depending on your available time, equipment, and expertise, you can install the tank yourself or use professional contractors. There will be several tanks installed on this property, all fed from the same well. This would be the case on most properties to facilitate multiple managed grazing pastures. You'll need to consult with NRCS to select the location for each tank. If you're just beginning managed grazing, spend some time planning the location of your future pastures, including additional watering points and fences. This will influence the location and orientation of your permanent tanks. Ideal travel distance for livestock is less than 800 feet to a watering point. Water bodies within 800 feet of the proposed watering site need to be excluded from livestock use with a fence. The tank location or pad area must be leveled, both in the immediate area of the tank and between the inlet pipe and the overflow pipe. Please note, not all prefabricated concrete tanks are designed for or require an overflow pipe. A handheld level can be used to make sure the pad is level and ready for the tank installation. The tank is brought to the pad area and placed in the predetermined location and orientation. Some prefabricated tanks have built-in legs. Trenches should be dug into the pad when sitting these type of tanks. Fitting the legs into these trenches makes the tank more stable and easier to level. The tank is moved carefully into the prepared trenches. The tank is stabilized and leveled by backfilling soil around the base and around the legs. The final check of the tank placement is to ensure the tank is level for equal water distribution. The next step is to place overflow piping. A trench is dug leading from the tank to the pasture outside the pad. Note that the trench is finished closest to the tank by hand, preventing any unnecessary disturbance to the previously leveled pad area around the tank. Schedule 40 PVC pipe is used to prepare an emergency overflow. The piping will direct any overflow water away from the tank and into the grassed pasture in order to prevent soil disturbance and erosion. A permanent watertight connection is absolutely essential for fittings. Always follow manufacturer recommendations when using cleaners, primers, and glues. After glue is applied, quickly rotate 1/4 of a turn and hold the two joints together until the glue bonds. At this point, the plumber is checking to make sure the overflow pipe will drain. The overflow pipe is now covered with soil, and then water is flushed through the overflow pipe to ensure it works properly. Once the overflow pipe is completed, it's time to install the piping from the water source into the tank. The first step is to dig the trench to accommodate the pipe. At this location, a last-minute decision was made to rotate the tank 90 degrees to facilitate the addition of future temporary fencing, making the tank accessible in the future from 2 different pastures. That's why it's necessary to add the 90-degree angle to connect the tank inlet pipe to the previously installed water source pipe. The inlet pipe is prepped and installed in the tank. Using a quick connect coupler as shown here makes joining two existing pipes much simpler. Some prefabricated tanks come with inlet holes on opposite sides of the tank. Once the hole on the preferred side is fitted with piping, it is necessary to cap the other hole. In this case, the plumber installed a semi-permanent cap that could be removed later if necessary. Use plumber's tape for any threaded applications for a watertight connection. Please note there's a correct and incorrect way to wrap the tape. When installing a float valve assembly, make sure there is a watertight fit and the valve is oriented correctly for proper float operation. Derek Hall, NRCS Soil Conservation Technician on site during this installation, noted that the foam float purchased by the landowner did not meet NRCS specifications. A replacement float would have to be used. Working with your local NRCS office is important in making sure that all your equipment and its installation are according to practice specifications. If not, NRCS payment may be withheld. Filter fabric is placed around the tanks as the first step in creating the heavy use area. Placing the fabric on the ground surface stabilizes the surface and helps prevent soil and mud from mixing into the gravel. Fabric can often be purchased from your local conservation district office. Note how the edges of the fabric are tucked under the sides of the tank. Hand shovels are used to place gravel directly around the tank and at the edges of the fabric to hold the fabric in place. Stakes can be strategically placed to serve as minimum depth guides for the gravel. The gravel must be added to a minimum of 6 inches in depth to meet NRCS specifications. You must be able to level the tank and have an 8-foot minimum protected area around the tank. The area called a heavy use area will have filter fabric covered with rock to protect the soil base from livestock impact. A ball-type shutoff valve in a freeze-proof enclosure is recommended at each tank site. An optional top can be placed on the tank if the tank is designed for one and the producer wants it installed. The tank installation is now complete, and now it's time to fill it with water.